Hey guys, remember to like the video and hit subscribe.
We're here essentially on behalf of the citizens of Glenn County to talk about the fatal of the February 23rd incident involving victim Ahmaud Arbery, who was chased, hunted down, and ultimately we believe the evidence will show based on what's about to be presented to the court. That's our purpose for being here today. I will tell the court that yesterday during a status conference involving the lawyers, there was one of the defense attorneys for defendant Brian that articulated some speculation as to how this court might rule on some things, which was a little bit troubling from the state's perspective. Other than yesterday meeting face-to-face, that's the first opportunity we had to meet you, Judge, and we appreciate the professionalism that you've shown us and the courtesy that you've shown us here in Glenn County. But I did want to at least state for the record, since the record was silent yesterday, that we were concerned about that articulation. We don't know what the basis for that would be, but we're certainly ready to go forward at this point. We believe this court to be a reasonable court by all of our dealings with you to date, and we're prepared to call our witness and defend our probable cause for the issuance of these arrest warrants here. But I wanted to make those prefatory remarks and also articulate for the public that may be watching why it is that there might be times that we do not have our masks on, and it is important in these criminal matters that we make records and that we have court reporters take those things down, and sometimes it's more, it's easier to do that when the masks are temporarily removed. So I didn't want to be silent on that point in the face of the national and worldwide crisis that we're dealing with this pandemic. Thank you. With that, Judge, absent any other remarks from any other counsel at this point, we call Richard Dial from the Georgia Bureau of Investigations to the witness stand.
And it's not even synced. What the fuck was going on here?
Raise your right hand, please, sir. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, so help you God.
I do.
You may be seated.
All right, so thank you for removing your mask for purposes of making the record, but I'll ask that you keep it handy. If there becomes a point in time where you're no longer testifying, then we may ask you to put that back on while you remain in the courtroom. Understood?
I do. Yes, sir.
To the degree you're able, I want you to use the microphone beside you so that we can make a good record so that everybody can hear you. And first of all, if you will, introduce yourself to the court. Spell your first and last name for the benefit of our court reporter.
Certainly. I'm Special Agent Richard Dial, R-I-C-H-A-R-D. Dial is D-I-A-L. I'm Assistant Special Agent in charge with the Georgia Bureau of Investigation assigned to the Kingsland Field Office, which covers Glenn County.
Have you been tasked with being the lead investigator on the investigation involving the fatal of Ahmaud Arbery from February of 2020?
Yes, sir. I'm the case agent.
Before we get into the facts supporting your arrest warrants that were issued in this case, will you please articulate briefly a little bit about your background that allows you to serve as an investigator with the Georgia Bureau of Investigations?
Certainly. I was hired as a narcotics agent with the Georgia Bureau of Investigation in 2001. I was subsequently promoted into a special agent position. I had been with the Georgia Bureau of Investigation that entire time, which is approximately 19 years. Throughout that time, approximately 17 years of that, I've been assigned to the Region 14 Field Office, where I've worked a variety of investigations.
In this particular case, you're not the only agent working on the case from the Georgia Bureau of Investigations. Is that accurate?
That's correct. There was a team of agents assisting me in the investigation.
And as we sit here now, can you confirm for the record and for the benefit of the judge that while arrest warrants have been issued, there are certain aspects of the case that continue to be under investigation?
That's correct, sir. It's still an ongoing investigation.
I have copies of the arrest warrants in this particular case for the defendants, including the two McMichaels as well as Mr. Bryan. Are you the affiants who swore out those affidavits for arrest for these defendants?
I am, yes.
And if I am correct, the date of the offenses that we are here to discuss today are February the 23rd of 2020. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And just to get past these basic background information before I open it up to you for the facts, will you confirm that you have arrest warrants charging Travis McMichael with felony murder based on aggravated assault as well as aggravated assault?
I did, yes, sir.
And then can you also confirm that Greg McMichael is charged with felony murder based on being party to the crime of aggravated assault as well as party to the crime of aggravated assault?
Yes, that's correct.
And then finally, chronologically, the last warrant that was obtained by you and your agency is against William, sometimes referred to as Roddy Bryan, correct?
Correct, yes, sir.
And that those warrants charge him with felony murder and criminal attempt to commit false imprisonment. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Wait, what?
And any other remarks from me?
Oh, we got a higher quality version?
He sees them. He is outside of his residence.
I don't know how far we were in this.
The upper walls of the house and the windows were in the house. There are no. This case was originally investigated by the Glenn County Police Department.
Okay.
Subsequent to that, the district attorney recused themselves for this circuit. Another district attorney was assigned. Then that district attorney recused himself and was assigned to a third district attorney. My agency on May 5th, 2020 contacted that district attorney, offered our assistance. The district attorney was Tom Durden. We offered our assistance. He availed himself of our assistance and requested us to become involved in the investigation. And then on May 6, 2020, I was contacted and assigned the investigation. All right.
You've had an opportunity now to review Glenn County's initial response to the correct?
I did, yes, sir.
And I assume you've talked to witnesses and had your agents talk to witnesses in support of the arrest warrants that you obtained in this particular case.
Yes, sir.
Briefly, I want to talk about the deceased victim in this case. Will you tell the court what his name was and a little bit about his background?
Certainly. His name was Ahmaud Arbery. He was 25 years of age. He was a resident here in Brunswick, Georgia. He lived at 140 Boykin Ridge Drive at the time of his death with his mother. He was, and he was involved in athletics, liked to play games outside. He liked to run, liked to play video games.
As part of your investigation of this case, were you able to determine the approximate distance from Ahmaud Arbery's home to the place where he was fatally shot on Satilla and Holmes?
I'm not going to do this because I'm too lazy, but it'd be funny. Does anybody remember which Tim Pool appearance I was on when he brought up this Ahmaud Arbery bullshit? I don't even remember what we were. Was your first one? What were we debating? Like, how long ago was this? Trying to include Ahmaud Arbery in the search bar? I don't. It was like one part at the very end, though. I don't even know if this will show anything. This was 9 days ago, 3 years ago. Fuck. I remember when he brought this up. I didn't know the details of any of this. When he brought this up when I was on his show, he said that Ahmaud Arbery was 21 miles away from his home from where he was killed. I'm just curious because he's about to say that question of how far he was from his home.
His home to the place where he was fatally shot on Satilla and Holmes.
Wait. It was 1 year ago. I complained about it.
The Arbery case. You know about the Ahmaud Arbery case, right? I'd imagine you'd be on the right side of that one.
Those were the... I didn't know these were his tactics, that he like has this like rotary of random cases that he tries to bring up to get you if you don't... I don't know all the facts of this.
The guy that got chased down who was jogging in the neighborhood or whatever?
Well, the felony burglary suspect who was fleeing the scene of a crime.
Felony burglary suspect. He wasn't. Anyway, all of that was false.
Oh man, we're gonna have a way different. This is the one where like.
Did you watch the trial?
Parts of it, but this is a long time ago.
So the prosecution outright stated he was a felony burglary suspect. If you get your news from like corporate press or whatever.
God, I'm not familiar with the case. Are you?
Well, then just look into it because I think you'd come out on the right side.
I did, but there were so many claims. Like somebody claimed that, for instance, like he didn't have tennis shoes on, he had boots on or whatever. But then I saw pictures of what it was. Like, no, these are not boots.
Right,
that's a lie.
That's
right?
immaterial. So the issue was the police went door to door. Everybody had known that someone had been committing burglaries. A gun had been stolen from a vehicle.
Okay.
The cops showed the picture of Ahmaud Arbery to a bunch of the neighbors. When Arbery entered a home under construction and was seen, neighbors all called each other. Someone witnessed the guy running down the street, and they were like, hey, that's the guy. The McMichaels got in the truck and chased after him. We're told by police not to pursue, but pursued anyway. They were in front of him. Arbery had a guy behind him who was filming the whole time. Arbery ran around the truck and then grabbed Travis McMichael's shotgun, and they fought over it. It went off into his chest, killing him. I think we can make a whole bunch of arguments about whether they should have followed or not followed, but the fact that the dude who simply filmed it is spending the rest of his life in prison, I think says a lot about the fact that it was totally bunk. You know what I mean? Like that guy.
I wish I could. I hate myself that I'm not familiar with this case. I feel like this is one of those things where I'm gonna go home and I'll look into it, and it's gonna be completely different than how you said it.
No,
I can't comment because I don't know the details.
I'm not coming out here saying he stole a lollipop from a little kid while wearing construction boots and the kid who was jogging. I'm giving you like the conviction was due to the fact that under the citizens arrest law, there was a potential interpretation where the gist of it is if it's a misdemeanor, you had to have witnessed the crime, but if it's a felony, you're allowed to make a citizen's arrest without being a witness to the crime. The issue was it was an old law that was written in a simplistic way that had like a comma or something, and the jury instructions by the judge was you interpret how you see it. The prosecution argued, regardless of a felony or misdemeanor, you had to be a witness.
The judge said, reading instructions to the jury, the judge said, this is up to your interpretation. I don't know. We'll get to the trial. That sounds like a wild... Usually they're very clear when instructing juries, like, this is what this law means. This is what has to be proved to charge this crime. But I don't know. We'll get there, I guess.
Instructions by the judge was you interpret how you see it. The prosecution argued, regardless of a felony or misdemeanor, you had to be a witness. And the defense argued, no, there's two different clauses here. If it's a misdemeanor, you need to be a witness. However, it's a felony, you can make an arrest. The jury decided to take the prosecution's interpretation, and thus they were convicted. So, simply put, the left argues he was trespassing. No. The prosecution outright said he was a suspect in a felony burglary. But because they did not witness the felony burglary, they had no justification for
when they say he was
arrest.
a witness for a felony burglary, what is that? Or that he was
suspect
for a felony burglary. What does that mean?
It means he had illegally entered a private residence.
Had he?
Yes, he's on camera doing it.
Okay.
Yeah, and so the left said he's just trespassing. He's just no.
I don't know if any of this is true, but...
Like, burglary does not mean theft. It means when you illegally enter someone's property.
And then the story that you're telling me is these three guys were just following him in a truck. Two guys.
The third guy saw him running on the street and started filming on his phone.
Okay.
Completely unrelated to the McMichaels. He got charged along with him and is spending the rest of his life in prison.
That's a crazy story. I'll look at. I'll try to look it up more because when I argue with left-leaning people about Rittenhouse, they give me crazy interpretations as well. But that's a case I'm far.
But
more
we were
familiar
right about Rittenhouse.
You
were right about Rittenhouse.
Sure, yeah, but that's just a case I'm more familiar with. But
I think if you look at the Arbery case, you're going to be like, oh wow, yeah. Like
when the Arbery case, what did he enter?
There was a house under construction. He's on camera going into the property and like he looks around and then he leaves. That's felony burglary. Now, I'm not here to argue semantics or morality. I'm saying that's literally under the law felony burglary, which the McMichaels used as justification. So there had been a string of literal burglaries. Like, okay, let me slow down.
Sure.
There had been a string of colloquially defined burglaries where someone entered property and took items. The circumstance in question that he was a suspect on was he was caught on camera entering private property, looking around and then leaving. That makes him if that is proof that he committed the crime, that is felony burglary. We've actually.
So if somebody wants to link the statute, you can, but the mens rea for most criminal matter is you have to knowingly violate, like, and knowingly with malicious intention do a particular thing. So like, treading on thin ice here, but like if there was like a construction site and it was like an open construction site and you kind of like, you're jogging and you kind of like look in and you're just kind of like looking around, you leave. I don't know if you could be, even if everything was witnessed, I don't know if that would count as like felony burglary if it looked like you were clearly just going and looking. Like, I'm sure there are some things where if you enter like a family's house and you have to like, especially if you're breaking and entering or whatever, but just the fact that he keeps saying property, property, property instead of into a house or into a thing makes me wonder, but we'll find out over the course of the trial, I guess. Yeah.
Actually dealt with this. So people need to understand this. If you have property with no fence, no barrier, people are allowed to walk on your property and do whatever they want. All you can do is ask them to leave.
What?
If you have property, if that is proof that he committed the crime, that is felony burglary. We've actually dealt with this. So people need to understand this. If you have property with no fence, no barrier, people are allowed to walk on your property and do whatever they want. All you can do is ask them to leave.
That is absolutely not true. Just because you don't have a fence doesn't mean people are entitled to operate on your property. Now, if you have like a huge ass farm or something, you can't be like sniping people who have wandered onto your property. But
if you put up a sign saying no trespassing and they walk onto your property, they're now guilty of a slap on the wrist trespassing charge because they've been given a warning. If you take a piece of thread, a tiny piece of thread, and wrap it around your property and someone goes underneath it, they've now committed felony burglary because they have bypassed a physical barrier, regardless of what that barrier is. So when he entered the house, he had committed a felony. Now, he wasn't convicted of it, I don't know. The point was, there were a string of burglaries and the police
he was dead, so I don't know how they get convicted of it.
were asking people, have you seen this man? So when they saw him running in the street, they were like, that's the guy the cops told us about. Chased after him, called the police. The police said, do not pursue.
Okay, hold on. So when you say this, okay, Jesus Christ, it's been so long, I didn't cover this one closely. So when you say the cops told him that, right? So I'm looking at an article from the Independent. The white father and son accused of murdering Ahmaud Arbery were told by police that he wasn't a burglar days before they chased the black 25-year-old and shot him dead in the street, according to prosecutors. So were the prosecutors lying there, or did the police specifically say that this guy was not a burglar?
I didn't know where that article's from because if I'm talking about facts after the case.
These are opening statements relating to beginning Friday morning at the trial of the three white men accused of murdering black 25-year-old Ahmaud Arbery.
The police went to them and said, we're looking for this man. He is a felony burglary suspect. The issue...
Apparently, the prosecutors also shared statements from the suspects where they admitted that they did not believe that he'd even stolen anything. Apparently,
Stealing is not burglary, though. That's the important distinction. Burglary is illegally entering a premises.
Yeah, but were they chasing? But they were chasing him because they thought that he had carried out other burglaries.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
But apparently
he wasn't just jogging, right? This is not, look.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, was the citizen's arrest because he walked into a property because they thought he was stealing shit?
A gun had gone missing and they thought he was the guy who did it.
Yeah.
There was a string of thefts.
But then when Gregory
burglaries.
McMichael is here telling investigators, I don't think the guy's actually stolen anything out of there. Per statements relating to seeing
That was
him.
a video where he enters a building and then leaves. They believe that was evidence that he had been the person who had actually been stealing things. A few weeks prior to the incident, a gun had been stolen from a vehicle. That's the most pronounced part of the story.
Gotcha.
So, regardless.
Also, this is saying Travis McMichael shot Mr. Arbery 3 times with a shotgun. That sounds like it went off more than once.
You should watch the video.
Okay.
He shot himself 3 times. Wait, what is the... Wait, some guy linked all this shit. We're in Georgia. Did you link the... Okay, no, that's fine. Okay, Georgia, burglary, crime. Okay, dwelling means any building, structure, or portion thereof, which is designed or intended for occupancy for residential use. And then railroad car. Okay. A person commits the offense of burglary in the first degree when, without authority and with the intent to commit a felony or theft therein, he or she enters or remains within an occupied, unoccupied, or vacant dwelling, house of another, or any building, vehicle, railroad car, watercraft, aircraft, or other such structure designed for use as the dwelling of another. A person who commits the offense of burglary in the first degree shall be guilty of a felony and upon conviction thereof shall be punished by imprisonment for not less than 1 nor more than 20 years. Upon the second conviction of burglary, a person commits the offense of burglary in the second degree when, without authority and with the intent to commit a felony or theft therein, he or she enters or remains within an occupied, unoccupied, or vacant building, structure, what's the difference? The authority with the intent to commit a felony or theft therein, he or she enters vacant building, vacant dwelling house of another, or any building, or vacant. Wait, I'm sorry. What's the difference between first and second degree here? Is for burglary? A house under construction isn't designed or intended for occupancy until the construction is finished. No, maybe remaining in it without authority and with the intent to commit a felony. He or she enters or remains. This is enters or remains within an occupied, unoccupied, or vacant dwelling house of another. This says or vacant building, structure. Okay, so this is just includes more things, or any other building, vehicle, railroad car, watercraft, aircraft. Oh, okay. So the first degree one includes some more structures as well, I guess. Okay, so you have to have the intent to commit a felony or theft therein. It's not just enough to trespass. Destiny, I assume you know this, but it is always a red flag when someone gives a definitive answer on a legal question on a hypothetical. It depends always needs to be present in some way. Well, it depends on what part it depends on. But Tim Pool has consistently shown he doesn't understand anything regarding the law. Like anytime he quotes anything legally, he doesn't usually know what he's talking about or understand. He's probably quoting InfoWars or wherever he read some stupid opinion. But first degree, a structure designed for use as the dwelling of another, and the second degree is any building. Okay, gotcha. All right.
Okay. Do you think we're all
the video
three when they were fighting over it?
It's off camera. So here's the issue.
Okay.
If two people are holding a gun, they're both in possession of the gun.
Sure.
So it's not as simple to say in a news story that he shot him 3 times. That's a prosecution.
Yeah, but two people holding a shotgun
and fighting over it, and then it goes off
3 times.
Probably went off. He was still holding it, and then he fired it 2 more times.
Semi-auto.
Have any of these guys fired a shotgun before? Wait, what?
Okay, a shotgun. You fired a shotgun before, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, 2 people holding, even with buckshot, if you pull the trigger, with 2 people, that shotgun's gonna go flying.
So it's really weird. If you watch the video, you can see both of their hands are on it, and they're shaking it back and forth. They had tight grips.
Okay, maybe. I'll look it up.
But also, take into consideration the statements of the defense and the prosecution are going to favor their view of the story.
Of course.
And the ultimate conclusion was based on the fact that they were performing a citizen's arrest, but because they had not witnessed a felony in progress, they had no right to perform a citizen's arrest. Thus,
and because the cops told them explicitly to back off.
Exactly.
And that he wasn't a burglary suspect?
He was.
But the cops
said apparently the prosecutor said that the cops had made the statement to these people days earlier that he explicitly was not a burglary suspect. Do we have the video to watch?
The video of the shooting?
The shotgun? Yeah, I'm curious.
Oh, I mean, I'll try and pull it up, but I got to be honest. We recently tried pulling it up. It's really hard to find. But let's read some more.
Yeah, go. I don't want to
But anyway, my point is just this. Not that it's like the clearest cut case of self-defense like with Kyle Rittenhouse.
Sure.
But it's that this guy's not a jogger. It's not so simple to say like 3 guys lynched this dude or whatever.
Wait, was he not a jogger? Do we not think?
Like, come on, bro. Like, you think a guy drove 26 miles from his house to jog through a random
That's what he said. Okay, there it is. That 26 miles from his house.
suburban neighborhood?
I don't even know if that's how, this reminds me of like when people like did Rittenhouse go to a whole other state to defend his property.
The dude didn't live there.
Yeah, sure, but I don't know where
Why?
I don't know where he lives.
Oh, no,
maybe
well,
maybe he lives in an apartment complex. He dressed as a jogger. I don't know. I truly don't know. I don't know. Yeah.
We'll read some more super chats and then we'll talk more.
Okay. Anyway, that's why I'm curious about the facts of this case. How far away was he from his house?
Home to the place where he was fatally shot on Satilla and Holmes.
Well, yes, I actually took a driving measurement from his residence to where the house under construction was located, which is at play in this investigation, and that's located at 220 Satilla Drive, and it was approximately 1.8 miles.
Oof. Well, so that was a lie.
The scene of the is a little further down the road, approximately 2.5 miles would be my estimate.
I want to ask you some more background information now about the defendants in this case, and we'll start with Travis McMichael. Travis McMichael, were you able to determine what his age was?
I was, yes. Travis McMichael. He.
I mean, if you're an avid runner, 2 miles, 28 miles, it's the same shit.
Is 4 years of age. He resided with his father, his mother, and his sister at 230 Satilla Drive in Brunswick, Georgia.
And did he have some prior training in the Coast Guard?
Yes. He served in the Coast Guard as a boarding officer who's involved with the interdiction of vessels. He had training reference to that, and that's the position that he held.
You had mentioned that he lived on Satilla Drive with his father. What is his father's name, please?
His father's name is Greg McMichael,
How old was he at the time of the commission of these crimes?
64 years of age.